Hello and welcome to today's episode of pianoTV. I am Allysia, your host, and today I thought it would be fun to think about all of the music out there that has piano in it, and then I thought it would be more fun to take those tens of thousands of songs and narrow them down into my own personal 11 favorite, basically alternative rock, pop, rock songs that use the piano. Now, there are a lot of really awesome songs that use piano that aren't going to make this list based on various criteria. All of the songs on this list are going to have like some kind of personal connotation to me. They're all songs that I've listened to dozens and dozens of times. They've affected me in certain ways. So this is a super biased, entirely subjective list. I'm not the kind of person who can objectively say these are the top 10, and by the way, I'm sorry that it's 11. I had like 30 some pieces of music on this list and I could not narrow it down any further than 11, and I really tried. I know 10 is a nice even number, but I digress. I'm not the kind of person who can objectively say that like these 10 songs are the best ever. I have no idea what the best ever songs are, and I don't think that's as interesting anyway. So this is my super subjective, biased, personal collection of 11 favorite songs ever that use piano. That was a really confusing title. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go in order. I actually ranked this. The ranking's like basically arbitrary, but I did it just for fun. So we're going to count down from 11, and we're going to go down to 1, as these things tend to do. And it'll be a lot of fun, I hope. Let's get started. Number 11 is by a band that many of you probably haven't heard of. It's Crash Kings, and the song in particular is Mountain Man. Now, Crash Kings is kind of unique in the sense that they don't have a guitarist in their band. They have a keyboardist and singer, and then a bassist and a drummer. So it's very piano driven, but it's really like rock, and we've seen them live. They're super fun live, and Mountain Man's just like a fun, energetic, sort of modern piece. For number 10, I am going to put Half Moon Run's She Wants to Know. Half Moon Run's another maybe semi-obscure, maybe some of you know it, alternative rock band that were really in their heyday in the kind of early 2000s. I don't think they've released an album in quite a few years now. But they were really popular when my husband and I lived in Toronto. And I remember seeing them live in Kingston, and they put on a great show, just a really cool vibe. Now, most of their music is more guitar driven, but She Wants to Know has some really nice piano work in it. And just as a warning, if you ever like want to try to sing and play the piano at the same time, don't do this one unless you want to torture yourself. You are in for a world of pain. It's very difficult to play this one and sing it at the same time. So number 9 is also someone who doesn't really have a lot of piano in her music, but she did in this one particular song. So do you guys remember when the movie City of Angels came out? I think it was in the late 90s, and Alanis Morissette was riding the wave of her like mid-90s fame. This was like a few years post Jagged Little Pill, which is a fabulous album. I cannot recommend that album enough, but this particular song, Uninvited, is not from that album. It's from the movie City of Angels. It's got like really haunting piano line, and live, like I've never seen her perform this live, but I've seen videos of it. It's amazing. Like her live versions are better than the recording. They're so good. So this is another favorite. Speaking of movies, do you guys remember the movie Donnie Darko? It came out in the early 2000s. It had this like really cool retro 80s throwback thing going on, and it also had like the time travel thing. It's really cool. I definitely said that I liked it in school one day to a classroom when we were talking about movies, and I definitely got laughed at for it. Painful childhood wounds coming out in this video. Anyway, it's just like this song has become a bit of a trope online, like in comic situations when a character of a show or something is having like a sad, sentimental moment. You have like the piano notes of Mad World playing in the background. It's kind of a joke. But in spite of that, it is a wonderful song. Obviously, I think so, or else it wouldn't be on this list. My parents were minted in the 1980s, so I feel like I had to include this one in my list as a shout out to them. Don't Stop Believin' by Journey is one of the most memorable piano parts and lines of all time. It booms in with the introduction right off the bat. It just takes the center stage. And I have to admit that whenever Don't Stop Believin' comes on when I'm at a bar, a pub, any other public place, it could be like a bowling alley, it doesn't even matter. This is the one song that I will just shamelessly belt out at the top of my lungs, and gets some awkward stares as a result, but I don't care. It's a great song to belt out. And as another like kind of personal side note, I performed this song and others at my uncle's wedding, so it's fun. So number 6, Stay by Rihanna. This is a really easy song to play on the piano because it's pretty much just chords. And actually, if you're wanting to sing along to a piano, like if you want to play piano and sing at the same time, this is a really, really good gateway song to do it. I've taught this one to so many students as just like kind of an intro level pop song, but like a pop song that most people know and like. And I will admit for myself that when I want to just like sit down and play something and I don't want to like consult the books or search my memory for something more complicated, I'll definitely just have like a nice jam out moment to stay. Number 5, Fallin' by Allysia Keys, and that's Fallin', not N. This song became hugely popular when I was a teenager, I believe in the early 2000s. And the cool thing about other Allysia is that since she's also a piano player, a lot of her music uses the piano, and often in a pretty sophisticated way. Now, there are so many great Allysia Keys songs that I could have mentioned, but I did want to say Fallen because it was kind of like an original. It was like the one that, it's like the gateway one, and I performed this piece. It's actually really easy to play on the piano too, so this is another one kind of like Stay by Rihanna, where if you're looking for something to start with, it's just arpeggiated chord patterns that repeat pretty much. But the vocals are a little bit more complicated. Now, I don't usually karaoke, but when I do, this is a top choice. So depending on who you are, this next pick, number 4, might be a little bit more obscure. It's Right Where It Belongs by 9 Inch Nails. 9 Inch Nails released an album in 2004 or 5, I think 2005, called With Teeth. And it was a really like rocky album, like definitely rockier than a lot of their other stuff. But the last track, Right Where It Belongs, was just, I would describe it as a 1 a.m. song, the kind of song that you listen to when it's totally dark and you just kind of let your mind wander, and it's really beautiful. And that was my experience as a teenager. Now, if I'm as like a parent and older person, if I'm up at 1 a.m., there's a big problem. But like back then, I have very fond memories of late night listens to this album. Now for number 3, I just had to include Sia's Breathe Me. Not only because I've done an entire video on Breathe Me because I love this song so much, but it's just a really, really, I don't know, it's whenever I make lists, I love making lists. It's like a pastime. So anytime I make a list of like my 20 favorite songs of all time, this one always makes the list, and it has for many years. It was the first time I heard it was for the finale of the greatest show of all time called 6 Feet Under. It was like played in the very last moments of the very last episode. And it was like, wow, this is cool. Who is this? And that's when I started really getting into her back catalog. Sia has a couple great albums. Some People Have Real Problems, and the one that this one's from. What's it called? Why isn't it coming to me? Color the Small One. That's the one that this one's from. They're both really lovely albums. Totally different than what Sia's putting out now, but it's all good. My number 2 choice also has to do with 6 Feet Under. I guess they just had good music in their show. But 6 Feet Under introduced me to another band, Death Cab for Cutie. There's this scene where they play Transatlantic System, and I was just like hooked by it. It's a beautiful, beautiful, but really long song. So that's why I put this one on the list. It's sentimental. I love Transatlantic System, the album, and the album Passengers. They're both, again, if I was making a favorite CDs of all time list, those would probably, one of them would make the list. Actually, I do believe my husband and I, this must have been a year or so ago, we sat down with a beer and we talked about our favorite albums of all time. I think we each, it's coming back to me, we each made our own top 10 list. I'll have to link them below. They're from my personal channel. And I'm pretty sure we both had a Death Cab. I just don't remember which ones off the top of my head, but it would have been Transatlantic System or Passengers. This is kind of a boring piece to play on the piano, like if you're just sitting by yourself. But if you're playing it in a band setting, which we've done, it's really, really lovely. Like you can just kind of sink into it for 7 minutes and have like a very pleasant zone out life experience. Number 1. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Why am I trying to do a drum roll with my hands and my face at the same time? That doesn't work. Okay, you know it's going to be Radiohead, if you know anything about me. But the question is, which Radiohead? And there are a few good choices. I was torn between Karma Police, Pyramid Song, and Sail to the Moon. Ultimately, I decided to go with Sail to the Moon because it's just really, it's got these like rich, luscious 7 chords. It's got this like sweeping vibe, and Hail to the Thief is just a really solid album overall. I think it came out in 2003, but I spent much of my 2005 just obsessing over this album. Back when I had a boombox and people still use CDs, I would spin this one around and around on the boombox. I also really liked Sit Down, Stand Up, which was the track directly preceding this. So I tended to listen to those two in pairs over and over and over. I love this album and I love this song. So that's my totally biased list of the best music that uses the piano in some prominent sort of way. Like I said at the beginning, I had a huge list before I had to start narrowing this down, and there are tons of great songs that I've totally omitted here. So please let me know below what your favorite piano-based, rock, pop, country, whatever songs. And this, that's not even counting the whole genre of blues and jazz and ragtime. There are a million choices. So I would love to know your totally biased and subjective favorites as well. Thank you so much for watching today's video. And yeah, we do one video a week, so subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you later. Bye, guys. Another benefit of Donnie Darko is that Jake Gyllenhaal's in it. So that's my totally biased list